Hi, Aaron. We'll be getting started at around 3 minutes after the hour.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. For everyone just joining, we'll be getting started at around 3 minutes after the hour. Hi, Kristen.
Hey, Robert, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I am good, thank you.
Good. We'll be getting started at around 3 minutes after the hour.
Cool, sounds good.
Yeah. Hi, Peter.
Hi.
For everyone just joining, we'll be getting started at around 3 minutes after the hour. It's just noon right now, so we'll be getting started in about 3 minutes. Hi, Tiffany.
Hi, how's it going?
Doing well. We're getting started at around 3 minutes after the hour, just so you know.
No problem. Sounds great. Excited.
Yeah. For everyone just joining, we will get started in about 2 minutes now, at 3 minutes after the hour.
And for some bonus material, I've just installed wooden handles on all my cabinet doors and found that puppies like wood handles. So maybe I need some Tabasco sauce on all of them. I don't know.
Chili pepper.
Yeah, okay, good. Thanks for the tip.
When we got our dog, he was very good. He never chewed on anything once we trained him, but when he was very, very small, he chewed on the edge of one of my very favorite design books.
Oh.
And I mean, you know how that is. It's like, of course it was one that was irreplaceable. So,
yes.
But yeah.
It's always the irreplaceable things, it seems.
Yes. All right, just one more minute and we'll be getting started. Hi, Phil.
Hello.
And we will be Renee-less today, as Renee is on vacation. So for those just joining, we'll get started in about 1 minute. Okay. All right, everyone, it is 12:03, so I think we'll go ahead and get started. I like to kind of let folks filter in and give a few minutes after the hour for folks to get started and get settled. My name is Robert Fodor. I'm the VP of Sales and Concierge Services for Daniel House Club. I also have with me a couple of my colleagues, Peter Spalding and also Phil Adams. Phil is with our Concierge Services team, and obviously Peter is one of our co-founders and also our Chief Creative Officer. So welcome. This is our monthly concierge hour. It's an opportunity for us to speak with all of you, our members, get feedback, ask any questions, Feel free to pipe up at any time during the training or during the webinar to ask questions. You can also type in your questions to the chat function in Google Meet if you'd like, if you're not comfortable piping up and just talking. But we will be going over a few basics of the site. We also do have some new features that we want to talk about. So feel free to ask away. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to take myself off of camera because I'll be sharing my screen, and we'll go ahead and get started. Okay. Here we are at our new homepage. In case you haven't seen it in a while, we have done some, we're starting to do some pretty major upgrades to our site and also updates in general. So a few things that look a little different. One, we have a Join Now button. Obviously, that's for when you're starting up. There is a little icon here, a little person icon. This is actually where the login is now. So you'll just click on login, and you'll want to make sure to log in every time you log into Daniel House Club. That way you see your price, your current pricing, and you also have access to all the other features of the site as well. One thing I will note, this little shop pop-up is not required to log in unless you use Shop or Shop Pay. You can just X out of it if you wish. It's not required to log into the site. And obviously just email and password is required. If you do forget your password, you can click on the Forgot Your Password link, and our system will automatically send you a reset password link to the email that's on file. So again, we just click sign in. Once you sign in, it will take you to your dashboard screen. Whoa, look at all these changes. We have made some new changes here. Really exciting stuff. So instead of just the little black boxes that had your project name, etc., we are making it more display friendly. And so a couple of things that you can do, obviously create a new project, a new board, etc., with these two call buttons. And then also you can look at your 4 most recent projects here. And you can just click on the arrow here to either toggle between the 1st or the 4th, depending on which project you want to have a look at. Obviously, you can see your dashboard here. You can also look at all of your projects. So if you wanted to look at all projects, you would just click on View All, or you can click into an individual project here. And then there's a couple of new linkages that we have here on our Help menu. One is for starting a claim. So if for whatever reason you received an item damaged, or if there's a defect or a warranty claim, you can start a claim here. We have our FAQs. Also, our very helpful how-to videos on how to create projects, how to create boards, etc., and also checking out. So those are very helpful. And then obviously just a contact us form as well. You can also just email us directly. You don't have to use the form. And then, of course, the log out button as well. One thing I do want to note is you obviously have a look at your most recent projects here. And now we have these nice little thumbnails for some of the boards that are in your projects. But we also have a cart summary page. The carts are actually created from project boards that you create, or from multiple project boards. So if you have, 10 different boards, you can actually just create one cart with all of those boards. And those will come and those will be displayed here in your cart summary. Just note that carts are actually static. And what does that mean? Well, that just means it's basically a snapshot in time. So if you delete items from the project board that you created a cart from, it's not going to update your cart here. This is just the cart that you created at that moment in time. So even if you delete this cart, let's say I want to delete this bed linens cart, this is not going to delete my board. It's only going to delete the cart. So that's a really important feature because I've had a lot of folks reach out and say, well, hey, if I'm deleting this bed linens board, is that going to cart, is that going to completely delete it from the project board? No, it is not. It only deletes that cart that you created at that moment in time. Couple of things with the cart summary. You'll see here, some are grayed out, or I should say bolded, and some are not. This just gives you a quick little overview of, well, has this been viewed? Yes, it has been viewed. It also shows you when it was paid for and also when it was shipped. Now, that being said, we of course send you a notification and several notifications about your order. So first and foremost, when you actually place an order, you will receive an immediate order confirmation. That does not give you estimated shipment dates. It's basically just confirming the order that you placed. 2 to 3 days beyond that, you will receive what we call a vendor confirmation email, and that will give you your estimated ship date. So typically we don't have the estimated ship date right away, right after you place the order, but we do have it within about 48 to 72 hours once the order is confirmed with the vendor. And like I said, at that point, we send you a vendor confirmation email with the ship dates. After that, you will receive every Wednesday an open order report from us. And that open order report it'll be broken down by order and by item with the most current and up-to-date shipping information. So sometimes I get emails back in our concierge queue that say, oh, is this the most recent information? Yes. Every week, we actually ping our vendors to get the most accurate shipment dates for you. So those are sent out every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern time, and they are sent to the email account that's on file. So if the email account on file is for an individual where maybe your team, if you work in a team environment, do not have access to it, you might want to consider updating the email on file on the account to a group-focused email where multiple people have access to it, or maybe somebody else has besides the account holder. Just a little FYI. And then beyond that, once the item ships, you will also receive a shipment notification email with the tracking information so you can track it in real time. For smaller items that ship FedEx and UPS, they will obviously have the tracking number there. FedEx and UPS do not schedule deliveries, they just deliver the item. So you'll be responsible for just checking that in real time to see when the anticipated delivery date will be. With freight items, larger items, obviously they will phone you to schedule a delivery. So they will usually contact you once they know the item will actually be at their warehouse, and then they will call you the day of with a 4-hour window. And those are for all freighted items. All right, so let's go ahead and just get started on creating a new project. We'll just go over this very briefly, and then we'll talk about some more information on our product pages as well. So I'm just going to click on New Project here, and I'm going to add my information here, first, last name, client email, so I can put in the client email address here if I wish, or really any email that you wish. A project descriptor, that is a free text field. And then I can also apply, if I'm going to be sharing out this project board as a part with my client, so that they can actually purchase the item directly through the website, I can share a portion of my discount. This is only applicable if you're utilizing that function. If not, then you'll just take your full discount, and then you'll invoice your client offline. And then you have a place for obviously your total budget, your FF&M budget. These are not required fields, but definitely helpful to have. And then install date. This is really important if you're ever going to be utilizing our concierge services department and their service, because we help people literally what I call cradle to grave, from product selection all the way through to claims management. We will assist you at every step of the way. So if you just have an idea of what you're looking for, or maybe you know what you want and you might want some alternatives, you can also reach out to our team, our concierge services team. And if we know what the install date is, we can just look at items that will meet your target install date. And then obviously the site address information is fairly self-explanatory. And then just click Create Project. That will take you to the product screen, the project screen. And then from here, I can go ahead and just create a new board. And the boards are actually where you will add product to your project. So typically folks will add, living room, bedroom, etc., or maybe even by type, bed linens, perhaps even new items. However you really want to organize your boards is really up to you. Sometimes we've also seen where boards are created by vendor. So maybe if you just want 4 hands items, for example, in one board, you can create a board by vendor. It's really just up to you and how you organize yourself. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a board for the living room. Again, I can make a change here for my discount as far as what percentage I'm going to be sharing if I'm going to be utilizing that function. So it's nice that you can do it at the project level, at the board level, and you can also do it again at the cart level when you create the cart, and also at the point of checkout. So there's many different points at which you can change the discount if needed. And then I'm going to go ahead and create the board here. And then this takes you to the board screen. It gives you your dashboard here. So it'll actually show you what percentage your discount you're sharing, how much is your profit margin. So for this one, I just elected to not share any portion of my discount. So I'm going to take my full profit from this. Obviously, that's up to you and what the project dictates. So I can click on Start Sourcing Now down here, or I can just go to our product pages. So for a living room, obviously, I'm going to look at sofas. So let's just look at sofas here. And as you can see, because I'm logged in here, I'm already looking at what our discounted price is, what your price is going to be for this particular item. So let's just say I want to look at this particular chair. Even though it's an outdoor chair, it'll look good in the living room, maybe an outdoor living area. Again, we see what the retail price is, and we see what the member price is, what your membership pricing is. If we have MAP, it will also show the MAP price. So it'll show retail, MAP, and also the discounted price. Now, if I just add to cart, that's just going to add it to my cart on the site. It will not associate it to any project. So if I click add to board, I'm going to go ahead and add it to the living room that I just created by just ticking the checkbox there, and it says that it was added to board now. Now I can go back and I can just click on that project name, or I can click on the board name, and then I can see or remove the item from the board itself. So either way. So I'm going to go back and look at the project now that I just created, and you can see the board there with that item in there. Once I click on the board, you can see here, I haven't elected to share a portion of my discount, so my entire profit is really going to be half of that amount. So if I wanted to change the discount, I can just go into edit board details, and let's just say, okay, I'm going to share 10% of my discount with my client. So that means that they're going to get a 5% discount, and I'm going to have a 45% margin roughly. So click update board, and then as you can see here, it shows the client discount. This is what your client will be saving. And then also this is what my profit will be. And again, down here, it's going to show just the discounted amount that your client will be able to see. It's not going to show your entire discount to the client. It will only show whatever portion you're sharing with your client. Couple of things that once you've created boards that you can do is you can share the board out with your client in a collaborative way that's non-transactional. So rather than creating a cart and sharing it with them where they can actually check out and immediately transact, you can share the board, and you can do it with or without prices, I think is very helpful. But let's just say we're going to do it without prices. You can either send it directly through the website, or you can just click the copy link button and you can put it into an email of your own that's offline. So that's just strictly in an environment where you want to be collaborative, not transactional. This just allows your client to view the displayed item, as well as, like I said, with or without pricing, but it doesn't allow them to remove items, nothing. It's literally just collaborative. Here's what we're thinking, sort of a quasi-mood board, if you will. Now, once you get to the point of being transactional, then you can click on checkout, and you have a couple of different options here. You can check out with your own card, and what that means is it'll just take your full discount because you're not sharing it with your client, or maybe you're sharing it offline on an offline invoice, or you can check out with your client's card and share a portion of the discount as we have displayed here, or you can send it to your client for them to actually check out with the discount as well. So you have those three options. So I'm going to go ahead and just say, let's go ahead. I'm going to check out with my client's card. Again, I can go and I can select multiple boards for this project to check out with. So if they're ready to just purchase an entire home worth of decor and furniture, I can go ahead and select as many boards as I want to create the card. Then I go to create cart. And again, this is where I say you can actually change your discount. So maybe you put a little more effort into this, and I'm just going to only share 5% of my discount. That means that your client will get 2.5%. You'll get a 47.5% profit margin roughly. And then we'll go to select ship. We ship within the US and Canada. And then it gives you the options for residential curbside, expedited curbside, our upgraded room of choice, and white glove. And so you select one of those. Oops, I'm sorry. I just clicked out of that. So let's go to that again and select. And then we'll select residential curbside, go to preview cart. And again, I can still edit the cart here. So maybe your client's making a last minute decision. You can remove items from here. You can change quantities at this level, whatever you wish. And then we just go to checkout. And then that takes you out of our site and to our payment processing site to then add your shipping address, etc. If you have checked out with us before, it will save addresses here in the pop-down menu. So you can select one of those. Sometimes with Shop Pay, it does get a little tricky and it will autofill a shipping address that you don't necessarily want. But just be careful of that. If for whatever reason you place the order with the wrong shipping or the wrong billing, you can just email concierge services and we can change it for you on the order. It's not a problem, because sometimes I know that process goes pretty quick. Couple of things I just wanted to go into on our product pages. So let's just click on this one sofa here, which is an Essentials for Living sofa. As you can see, this is what the MSRP is. This is the MAP price, and this is the membership pricing. Obviously, we have imagery here. And then down below here, we have weight and dimension information, any additional specifications that we have from the vendor, care instructions, shipping, return policy. This is really important. There are some vendors who do not accept remorse returns. So if you feel that this is going to be an issue with a particular project and client, you might want to select items that you can still have remorse returns with. Now, most remorse returns do have restocking fees as well as return shipping fees. There's only a handful of vendors out of the 200 plus that we work with who do not accept remorse returns. But just to be safe, you might want to double check that with items that you are checking, as long as that's the same policy as your own policy with clients as well. And then, of course, with damages and any sort of defects, we just need to know within 5 days of the item being delivered that there is an issue with the item or not. I think we may have had a question. I heard a little bleep. Maybe not.
I think not.
Okay, no problem. So that's really all the information on our product page. Now, a couple of things that you'll see different here. As I mentioned, not only the MSRP map and membership pricing, but you'll also see whether or not an item has free shipping or not. So for example, if you have our mid-tier membership, which is a free standard shipping tier, you will see free shipping on these pages. So it will indicate free standard shipping. One of the things that we did change with our recent update to our membership tiers is when you are paying for upgraded shipping. So you're looking for room of choice or a white glove shipment, you used to have to pay the entire standard shipping fee as well as the upgrade fee. If you have our free shipping tier, which is our mid tier, you will only pay the upgrade charge now. You will not have to pay the standard shipping. So that's a really nice perk if you're in that tier, that you're really only paying an upgrade charge. Now, it is a per vendor charge. So, but if you have items, let's say all from 4 hands, you're only going to pay 1 upgrade charge, and that's going to be your entire shipping charge for the order. So just know that with the free shipping tier, you do have that availability. Now, with our top tier obviously affords you a much larger discount in general with most of our vendors. However, we do charge shipping. The shipping is 7.5% of the retail price. However, if you're either passing through that charge or somehow baking it into your fees already, you will come out quite ahead with the amount that you're making in profit for your product that you're selecting for your projects. So it really depends on the volume that you're doing, whether or not you're doing, $10,000 or more per quarter in ordering. You probably would want to go with our signature tier as opposed to the mid with free shipping. Again, if free shipping is something that is very important to your client, then you might want to just stay in the mid tier as well. That also affords you still a very good discount. So just kind of some words of advice there. Let's see, a couple of other things in our top menu here. This actually shows our new items that are available, as well as in-stock items. And then we have our vendor menu, which shows our most featured vendors. You can also click on the View All Vendors button here and look at all of our vendors. And you can also request a vendor or a product. This is really important because sometimes we don't capture all the vendors that many of our members source from. We will try our hardest to get them up on the site the quickest. Obviously, it's not going to be a very turnkey thing because adding a vendor can be a very long and arduous process. Sometimes they can be very quick too. So we encourage all of our members, if you do source from somebody that we do not have on our vendor list, please send us a request for vendor, and our concierge services team will reply to you. The same with product. So for a lot of our vendors, we don't have their complete catalogs on. We have sort of their most recent items or items that are their featured or most popular. So we don't have all variants. We don't have not all the items from their complete or current catalogs. We are constantly updating them, however. But if you want to request a product, which we receive many requests daily, we usually turn those around either the same day or within 1 day. You can also request custom or COM as well. We handle all of that for you, so it's a really easy process. And then similarly, you can also request samples. So if you have samples or finished samples or swatches that you want, we can coordinate with the vendor on those as well. And in some circumstances, yes.
We have a question about our free shipping.
Yes.
How realistic is free shipping? Because most of the times it's noted as not recommended on busy streets, etc. Therefore, so far this particular customer or member wasn't able to utilize free shipping.
Yeah, I think the nice thing is, as I mentioned, with free shipping, it's nice because if you're ordering small items, I live in New York City myself, so I understand the plight here of getting things delivered standard. But for small items, lamps, decor items, even some small side tables that are shipped UPS or FedEx, very, very helpful. And then also, if you're ordering a lot of items like freight items, as I mentioned, you're only going to be paying the upgrade charge, which is, actually a very good deal. It's actually, in my opinion, very similar to that if you went to a retailer as opposed to working with a wholesaler like we do. So I think that actually works out to be pretty advantageous. And I think you'll find that most clients of yours will agree with that, especially if they're used to working with retailers, because most retailers don't have upgraded shipping for free. You usually have to pay for it. So I think that goes part and parcel with what that model is as well and what they may be familiar with.
There's also one more question that came in about changing membership levels.
Yeah.
And whether or not we would issue a prorated credit to the member once they upgraded, if something was due back to them, if they upgraded midstream.
Obviously, we will do that. We also do have some really great promotional credits in place right now for folks who are upgrading or who are just, joining for the first time. So yes, that is definitely something that we will do. If you just email our concierge services team, that's something we can handle, and we'll just coordinate that with you directly. Okay. Moving right along. So not only do we have our featured vendors here and all of our vendors, we also have this available on request section. What this is you'll see this list kind of changing pretty constantly. These are vendors who we are in the process of uploading to our site, but we may not have their catalogs available, but you can still order from them. So if you just click on one of these, let's just look at Ambella Home. It will take you to the item screen. This is just a form to fill out. So you just put in your name, your email address, and you can just literally cut and paste the links that you want to have added. And also just let us know, when you need these by, or you can upload photos, whatever you wish. And that will go directly to our concierge services team. And then we'll reply back with an active link for you so that you can add those items to any projects that you're working on. All right. Any other questions before we move on to our webinar section of today's Concierge Hour? Okay. Well, at this is actually a very good drop-off point. So it's 12:30. I want to introduce Tiffany Rafi and Kristen Brennan. They are from UpSpring PR. We have been working with UpSpring, I think, since we started, right, Peter? Or almost since we started?
Since the beginning of time.
And
almost since we started, and they have been a fantastic partner.
They are amazing. I can tell you firsthand. I have worked with them. They are wonderful. And one of the nice perks that we have going on right now is with our new membership tier rollout that we did. When you upgrade or when you sign up for a signature tier, which is our top tier, you get a consult with these folks. And I can't tell you just how really helpful, responsive, and knowledgeable these people are. It's the entire firm. We worked with many people at many different levels, and it really helped Daniel House Club sort of become the company that we are now. And we're trying to pass some of that on to all of you, our members, as well. So they're just going to give a presentation today and talk about how they might be able to help all of you and also give you some pointers. So with that, I want to introduce Tiffany Rafi, the CEO of UpSpring, and also Kristen Brennan as well. Welcome.
Thank you. I don't do well with compliments. I was really uncomfortable, but thank you so much, Robert. Robert has a presentation or a deck he's going to pull up. It'll just be, 5-10 minutes of sort of chatting through, but more than happy to answer any questions. Or if anybody would like to schedule a time to chat with us, we would love that. So just to give you a little bit more context about who we are and what we actually do, we are a full service agency that specializes in the design space. Robert, you can kick to that next slide. So just to give you a little bit of perspective on what we handle, the best way to think about it is that it lives in 3 buckets. We have a full PR team, so media relations, award submissions, speaking opportunities live in that bucket. And then we have a full marketing team that can help consult on or support on everything from social media to email, paid ads, SEO, and beyond, and then a full web and creative team. So we have worked with other Daniel House Club members in order to redo their branding and logo, redo their website, support on pitching projects once you've completed them, and you have that beautiful photography, to media and just sort of getting brand awareness, or really helping to set up the marketing infrastructure for your firms. Everything is a la carte and meant to sort of puzzle piece onto existing capabilities. We work with firms that are solopreneurs and one person all the way through, to firms that have team members on them as well. About half of our clients are interior designers and architects, and the other half of our clients are product manufacturers and related companies to sort of the design industry. So this is just an example of a Daniel House Club client that we rebranded. This is sort of the before and after of the website. Bethany Adams, you can feel free to go to her website and poke around and see what you think. But we did a full rebrand, logo, brand palette, execution there, as well as a completely new website for her. So, we're more than happy to send this deck over after if you want to poke around a little bit, but that is just an example of sort of a one application that we can do. Thanks, Robert. And then this is an example of the branding. So initial branding versus what we ended up developing for the brand identity, just to sort of show you the before and afters here as well.
Does she actually have that sign on her shop, or is that?
That's just an application of the brand. I don't think she actually put a sign up. But yeah, business cards and everything, swag, all the things were created for her. I'm going to turn it over to Kristen. Kristen is a senior communications director here at UpSpring that runs PR for some of our interior design firms. So she's going to chat through the process of getting coverage and what that looks like, and then sort of chat through what, again, as you see here, just sort of what that looks like in practice.
All right, thank you, Tiffany. Like Tiffany said, my name is Kristen. I will walk you through a bit of kind of the background of PR and what we can do for you guys. I think first thing I'll say is PR is all about building awareness and credibility. So it is a long game. It's not something that happens overnight, but it's something that's important for every brand, regardless of the stage of your business. Like Tiffany kind of already mentioned in terms of scope for the marketing side of our business, it's definitely not one size fits all. We know that not every budget allows for every single scope that we offer. So, on the outset, we definitely like to tailor our scope to what makes sense to your budget, and kind of help you figure out, okay, with that budget that you have, what makes the most sense for us to execute for you. Regardless of scope, our process in working with clients is pretty consistent across the board. So before I dive into these like coverage examples, I'll just chat a bit about what that like kickoff looks like. At the beginning of every partnership, we do have what we call a due diligence process. This is where we're kind of digging for all of the information that we need from you from the get-go. And this also kind of eliminates the need for a lot of back and forth in the future. So, we're pulling information from you about you, your brand, your newest projects, what projects you want to highlight to press, what you have coming up. And that also goes into more thought leadership topics. So as it relates to the design industry, what are you comfortable speaking to? Are there any topics that you don't want to address with press? And so forth. So we kind of have this really hands-on interaction at first to pull all this information out of you. And then from there, we draft a really tailored PR plan and strategy based on the information that you provided. In terms of communication, we're in touch with our clients every single day over email, but we do have typically bi-weekly meetings where we're over video with our clients. And then we also do bi-weekly reports as well, followed by an annual report that's super comprehensive of kind of everything that's been done in the past 12 months. But that cadence of meetings is really dependent on what our clients need. So some clients meet with us weekly, and that's also totally fine. Peter and Robert, do you want us to jump into these questions now or finish and then come back to them?
I think you can answer them as we go. That's fine.
Okay. All right. I mean, Tiffany, do you want to answer that first one? Do we work with solopreneurs at startup phase? Yes, we do. I think it's just the scope will change depending on what you're ready to tackle, but Tiffany can talk about that further.
Yep, absolutely. So it's really going to be obviously budget dependent at that time. So really depending on what your needs are, we can sort of have a chat and a consultation on sort of what you need help with. If we're looking at PR only, then we might want to do a shorter engagement where we really just sort of launch the brand, land some coverage on, trend forecasting, Q&As, brand profiles, and then maybe a few of the projects that you've done. We sort of get out into the media, and then perhaps you want to pause, sort of collect resources again, and then come back to us a few months later. So that is generally what we see happen. On the PR side, as it relates to the marketing side of things, if we're rebranding or doing a website or anything along those lines, yes, absolutely. Those are sort of one-time projects that we can help at any phase of the business cycle. And then how does PR plan work for new businesses, a month-old company? So on the PR front, I really want to make sure you're ready so that the investment is worth it, right? So we always like to say you should have a few projects in hand so that we can go out to media with the projects while also going after thought leadership. If you have, sort of specific questions, I'm more than happy to hop on with you, chat through the assets that you have ready, and then make recommendations on when it would be a good time to potentially start. But PR is one of those things that you really want, obviously, to fuel the growth of your business, and we don't want to start too soon, and sort of we can allocate those resources elsewhere to help drive business in different ways. All right, Kristen, you can keep racking it. I'll keep an eye on those questions.
Sounds good. All right, so this first slide is about project coverage. I think this is probably the most obvious form of PR that you think of when you think of PR for interior designers. This is also probably the smallest scope that people sign on with us for if they are not quite ready or do not have the budget to do a full scope of PR with us, but they do want to get their work out in the public. So of course, project coverage is all about showcasing your work. We also create individual PR plans for every single project that you have. So normally publications, whether they're national or regional, they do like to limit their project coverage to projects that were completed within the past 18 to 24 months or more recent. Anything older than that, it is trickier to get an exclusive, although not always impossible. But I say exclusive because the editorial landscape has become extremely competitive over the past several years. So a lot of publications have policies now where if your project was featured in full somewhere else, they're not going to want to feature it again. This depends on who their competitors are. This is not true of every single publication, but it is something that we see a lot of, and that is feedback that we've gotten from editors time and time again. So we do have to be super strategic when we are creating these PR plans and figuring out where it makes sense to place your projects. And that can be in print and online. I will say even online coverage has gotten more competitive and tricky in the past few years. So even those digital publications also require exclusivity a lot of the time. But because of that, we normally do like to target a top tier national publication before going regional. There usually is a little bit more leniency between national and regional publications. So it is not uncommon for us to secure a national home tour for you, whether that's in print or online with, the Wall Street Journal, Elle Decor, like we have on this slide. From there, once that's published, we have the freedom to pitch your project out further, in which case we would normally try to target a regional publication that would still feature an entire home tour, even though it's already been published. From there, we also definitely like to kind of squeeze as much juice out of every project possible. So I'll talk about that a bit more in a couple slides from now. But we definitely don't just take a project, publish it, and then forget about it forever. We definitely continue that momentum and maximize that project coverage as much as possible. I think the last thing about project pitching that I'll say, if you guys have never had PR before, if you've never gotten your projects featured and you don't know where to even start, we're also happy to offer some pointers about what photography needs to look like for certain publications. If your goal is to get an AD or Elle Decor, we'll be real with you. You're going to need to see X, Y, and Z in your photography. And if you need photography recs, we're happy to give those to you as well. So we're kind of happy to hold your hand throughout that entire process.
Kristen, before you keep going, Lindsay threw a question into the chat about guaranteed coverage and sort of failed PR experiences.
Yeah.
So Lindsay, I'd love to, and we can set up a time to chat. I'd love to sort of dive into those experiences, the assets that you had, the strategies that were tried, the size of the firms that you worked with. Just to give you perspective, we staff really heavily on our teams here. So we really maximize the volume of placement that we're going after. We also develop a huge differentiator for us is that we develop all of the content in-house, which is not a normal PR practice. So a lot of times what PR firms will do is take the assets that you hand them and then distribute them, as opposed to really develop handcrafted pitches by reporter, as well as develop design briefs that are really focused on the narrative that we're looking to accomplish with that specific reporter or publication. it's impossible, regardless of the PR firm, to guarantee coverage because it's not paid, right? So that part can be tricky. With that said, I think it's really important to set KPIs, and before you sign on with any firm, to have them take a look at the projects and let you know what they think they can do with them. So on our end, we never take a client on until we take a look at the project photography and give them an idea of exactly what we believe is possible and achievable for you to sort of kind of be able to buy into that, right? And then be honest with you, if we need better photography on the upcoming projects, recommending photographers and shot lists and all those beautiful things to make sure that happens. So I'd love to sort of chat with you more in depth to kind of figure out what could have gone wrong in that process, because I want to make sure, obviously, that's not something that repeats a third time. That's no fun for anybody.
Having, I think, seen some of Lindsay's photography, I think you'd be very pleased with what you find.
Love it. All right. And then I think Allison also asked a question about partial remodels. Yes, the answer is publications do feature single rooms. I think it's tricky place depending on the publication. Those might not be in print, but there are a lot of online opportunities for that, and also some print opportunities, which kind of leans into the trend pitching, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But yes, it is possible. All right. Moving on to thought leadership. This is really all about establishing designers as authorities and industry experts. Thought leadership press can come in a few different forms. I think the most obvious would be profiles or interviews, where it's kind of a one-on-one interview with you in a publication and you are the star of the show in that article. I think there's obviously a lot of value in that. However, sometimes we do need newsworthy, timely things to talk about to secure those opportunities. Another form of thought leadership is having your quotes implemented in larger articles. I think similar to what Lindsay was saying about types of press like this, I think it's easy at first to kind of be put off by this and be included in an article about several other designers, but I think it's also a testament to your work when you are included with other designers of a certain caliber. I think it definitely sets the stage for the type of designer that you are, and it definitely does still hold a presence in an article. These thought leadership opportunities can be about design topics, so it can kind of lean more into trends and more of these fun topics about design, but it can also be a little bit more serious, harder hitting topics about industry news. You know, what's impacting the industry? How are you navigating challenges? How are you finding success through certain challenges? So thought leadership definitely takes on a few different forms. And then, like you'll see on this slide here, it can also be a home tour of a designer's own home. So that kind of crosses the border between thought leadership and also project coverage. But it can also be just speaking to different trends and getting your name out there. Last thing about thought leadership, it can also be podcasts. So not every client is willing to be involved in podcasts. I think this depends on comfortability, but this is included in that same scope. So as long as our clients are willing to be interviewed via podcast, that's something that we can secure for you guys as well. All right, and then the last prong of our editorial process is trends press. This is kind of where we don't just let your projects, fall under the radar after they've been published exclusively. We have lots of great relationships with editors, so it is not uncommon for them to come to us saying, hey, we're working on a story about X, Y, and Z bathroom trends. Do you guys have any projects that could be a fit? However, it's also super proactive. We realize that project timelines take a long time. You're not always going to have new projects for us. They take a long time to be completed and then photographed. That process takes a while. So in the meantime, we're constantly building stories to share as trend stories. So we might notice that, within 5 of your projects, you have a similar approach to designing living rooms, or you're using a certain material, something that we can kind of make a story out of. We will do that for you. And then, as you'll see in these examples, you could be speaking to certain paint colors that work well for certain spaces, or more like niche trends that are kind of just appearing in the design industry, like closet offices in the Washington Post. And then Good Housekeeping example is 25 top interior design trends for 2023, according to the pros. And that is just kind of getting your voice out there and trend forecasting. that I think Trend Press is definitely a blend of project and thought leadership, because it can just be quotes, but it can also be your project images supplemented with your commentary about it as well. All right, and then the last slide here is about social media. This is just an example of one of our clients, Sarah Jeffries, and kind of the visual aspect of her social that we have managed. There's a few different ways that we can work with you guys in terms of social media. Again, this is dependent on budget and also your bandwidth. So if you don't have anyone to execute social media for you, if you yourself don't have the bandwidth to do that, we're happy to work with you in a few different ways. The first one would be more of a one-time project, which is what we call an audit. This is where we take a look at your social media. We take a look at your engagement. What are you doing well? What are you doing in comparison or contrast to competitors? What should you keep doing, or what do you need to start doing to kind of stack up to those competitors? In that case, we would compile all of this feedback and let you know how you can implement it from there. Again, that would be more of a one-off project. Another thing that we can do is manage all of it for you. If you definitely don't have the bandwidth to do this, or you don't have someone on your team who can do it, we can curate content for you, create content for you, schedule it, and have access to your social channels so we can also execute it. And this way it would be super hands-off for you, and we're kind of owning that whole process. Obviously with a review and approval processes in between, so you always have oversight of what will be published. And then the last is a kind of hybrid approach. It's, you might have the bandwidth to execute things, but you don't really have time to plan and prep. So we are happy to create that content, schedule it, and then you can kind of take it over from there, and you will be in charge of posting that content across your channels. All right. Tiffany, anything else that you want to add before?
No, I think beyond that, it's best to just sort of have a direct conversation and chat through core needs. There's so many other places that we can plug in. These just tend to be the most common places that interior design firms tap us. So we're more than happy to, again, have those conversations. So grateful to Robert, Peter, and Phil for giving us the opportunity to be here with you all today. So thank you for hearing our side, and we're here if you need us.
And maybe Tiffany and Kristen, you can give just a little bit of a primer as far as what the consult for our signature members, like what does that entail basically?
That's a great question. So it can go one of two ways. If you have a list of things that you just need feedback on, if you want us to take a look at your socials or your newsletter, want us to take a look at your projects and give you pointers on where we think they would make a fit, give you feedback on the website or your branding. We will, if you're interested, we'll send you a series of questions to answer before we hop online, so that we just have time to kind of do a deep dive on those things and then come to the call prepared to consult. Alternatively, we can also run a competitor analysis. So if you have a handful of competitors that you sort of have an eye on in your area, and you want to take a look at sort of how your web traffic compares to theirs, are they doing PR? Are they not? Really, are they running paid ads? Are they not? Just sort of doing a little audit of what the competition is up to. That's another way we can go about that conversation as well. And then we can walk you through what we find.
And just jumping in to say, this is available to our signature and Pro Plus free shipping members and to everybody on this call. So if you're free and you're on this call, don't think that it doesn't apply to you. And you want them to email Jana if they want to set something up, or contact?
It doesn't make a difference. So I threw my email in here. Feel free to email me and I'll loop in whoever needs to help with scheduling. You can also email Jana directly.
Yeah, and also with Peter, the process involved for folks who are signing up for the first time as signature or otherwise, what does that look like as far as we're reaching out and then we're putting them in contact with UpSpring, correct?
Yeah. Yep. They can email the concierge, or we can just provide them Jana or Tiffany's email once they do. I did want to jump in just as somebody who has been a client of UpSpring for 4 years now, and say that I think when we went into this business, we all had the perception that the marketing agency is going to be the hardest to manage the most likely partner that we'll need to replace at some point. And in fact, like it's been the opposite. They have been the strongest partner for us, and a partner that always seems to be a little bit ahead of us instead of the other way around, which is just a fantastic experience. They have been sort of collaborative at every turn in our business, because when we started, we were very small and had no money at all, and we still don't have an enormous budget for marketing and PR. And so they have just been really helpful at figuring out what it is that we're able to achieve together. And the communication is fantastic. I talk with Kristen several times a day, and that's been my experience with everybody that I've worked with at UpSpring. I have a question, they answer it, or they send me 15 more questions that I hopefully can easily answer. And then I'm glad that you talked about the sort of individual, the legs that you can give a project, because I would say I'm actually tired of seeing my kitchen and my living room in publications at this point. I am just amazed at how many places you have been able to get stuff that would have taken me so much time. I would have no idea how to do it. And it just, at this point, is a very organic experience. So I cannot say highly enough that I think this is a good place to engage with. And I think that our members who have engaged so far have been really, really pleased too. And I've been like watching their new websites launch on UpSpring's Instagram and been like, oh my gosh, Margaret's site looks so cool. So it's really great to see what's happening for people.
Yeah, I think thank you, Peter. I think for firms that are smaller or maybe just starting off, the biggest value we could bring is making you look bigger and more established than you are from the onset with the appropriate website and branding. If you don't right away go into monthly retainer for PR, that's okay. But in order to attract clients that are of a caliber that you want them to be, especially in a design industry, the aesthetic of the site and the branding needs to be of a level where they're going to come to the site and then feel like they can trust your design aesthetic, right? If they come to a website and it's not well designed, well, I know they're not connected, right? Logically, but the feeling and perception they're going to get is that, well, maybe you don't have the vision for an aesthetic that they would like, right? So that's a place where I feel like getting you set up properly out of the gate maybe makes the most sense. Branding, website, really awesome email templates that you can use that are beautiful and well branded, getting you social filters and a social strategy that sets you up for success. And then we can set you free, and maybe 6 months later you're ready and can come back with a handful of projects for us to pitch, or maybe you're there already. The case is different for everyone. But I think for the smaller firm or the solopreneur, that's the piece that I feel like is missing. A lot of times people go straight into PR, but the website doesn't support the type of client that you want to attract. So then you're going to get people coming through onesie twosieing you to do like one little room where really you're looking to do maybe projects that are a little bit more substantial. So I think that's what we've seen with Margaret Carroll, which Peter was referring to, and then also Bethany Adams are the two projects that we more recently have done with DHC members, and that's the approach that we took with them. And then now Bethany's coming back, and there are other things that we can sort of help to support and build on. But I think out of the gate, the foundation needs to be done properly.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate the same that Peter mentioned, especially regarding the responsiveness of UpSpring. I have worked with many, many, many PR firms over the years at various positions. I worked for First Dibs, worked for Design Within Reach, worked for Cherish, big companies, but they were all started at a very small level. And I was just absolutely blown away by the level of responsiveness of UpSpring. And, you know, I hate to say it, but even at any time of the day. And so obviously we don't want to set that precedence, but but no, just really stellar, and can't thank them enough for all that they've done for us. So, and also for our clients, for our members. So if we have any questions, feel free to either unmute yourself and ask away, or just put into the message queue as well. All right.
I
No-
have a question. I'll ask a question.
Yep.
So I'm curious for like new clients you have, is there anything they can do before working with you that you love to see? Like going into a new client, just being like, oh, they already have this setup, like this puts us in a great place for success in the future.
That's a great question. I think it just depends on the service, right? If we're gonna do branding and website, then not really. It's more about you understanding who your target market is and what your goals are as a business, and then we can, sort of, move forward from there. On the PR side, yes, we need photographed projects and a website to send them to. So those are really important. On the social side, obviously it doesn't matter. We can start from scratch and get you set up if you don't even have social channels, which I know would be rare, but nothing to prep there necessarily. But I guess photography, right, of some kind would be helpful on that front. And then on the email marketing side, we need emails to email. So if you don't have emails collected yet, then the strategy may not be email, but rather paid media or paid ads in certain zip codes where you want to start collecting email addresses or building some traction, so that we have a bank of emails to then start emailing from an email marketing standpoint. So every service, has sort of a different requirement for entry, right? But we can sort of chat through how to get around those and how to structure things to make them work for where you are at any given point in time.
That's
Well,
great.
thank you.
We did have one request in the chat. Kristen, maybe you can send these. These are for the names that we had the representative examples of in your presentation of the client sites, so they can check them out.
I got you. I'm gonna pop them right in here. So just open them before we close out.
Great, thank you. Wonderful. All right. We're getting better and better at ending this right on the hour. It's 1 o'clock, guys. So thank you very much. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, Kristen, for joining us today for the concierge hour. Obviously, if you have any questions of us or even of UpSpring, we can coordinate and facilitate any communication with them as well, or put you in direct contact with them. But anything related to Daniel House Club, obviously reach out to our concierge services team. We're available between the hours of 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday. We have our big Founders Day sale starting tomorrow. So we will have added periodic support over this weekend, actually, which is something we usually don't have. We usually don't have weekend support just yet. But we will have weekend support this weekend periodically. So if you have items that you want to have added and place orders, Phil and I will be checking email over the weekend. The phone lines won't be available, but definitely email support will be open, and we'll be checking it periodically over the weekend. So get your orders in, because this is the opportunity to save some additional money. And it's our largest sale of the year. So we always put it dead smack in the middle of summer. So enjoy it. Peter, you want to say anything else before we head off?
No, just a reminder that it's an extra 20% off your membership price. And that is the best offer that we have all year. And we always have a lot of fun with this sale. So yeah, we're excited. Hope you guys are too. And thanks for being here.
Yeah, and we'll see everybody next month. We have these concierge hours, as many of you know, the last Thursday of every month at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time. So we'll see you in August. Thank you, everybody, and take care. Have a good summer.
Bye, everybody.